So today's GTR Roundtable that I took part in was all around SME trade finance specifically. And we all know that there's massive challenges in solving for working capital needs of SMEs on the continent. Typically and historically, commercial banks and other environments looking to solve for that space haven't been particularly good at it. We've been very good at solving for corporate clients' needs. And if you look at sort of the working capital needs of small businesses, some of the solutions that we've designed previously, the way that we've thought about risk appetite previously, doesn't necessarily resonate with SMEs. So the discussion was all around that. It was a good discussion. I think it was good to have players around the table from various environments. Some of the various DFIs were there because, of course, DFIs have a critical role to play in all of this. We know that commercial banks might never have the full appetite required to cater for all of SMEs on the continent. So the partnership with DFIs and the role that they have to play is critical in this. So there's a lot of discussion around DFIs specifically. And then, of course, there were some of the commercial banks around the table who have a lot of, obviously, the leading role to play, one would say, in solving for the needs of SMEs in the trade finance space. I think a lot of the conversation has been dominated, or the departure point for the conversation has been dominated by the fact that how do we approach some of these challenges that either were exacerbated during COVID or exacerbated during the war in Ukraine. And because during these crises, you start thinking about some of these problems differently. There's nothing as like a good crisis to help you look differently and create some innovation in this space. So a lot of the discussion has been around that. Of course, we know that African SMEs face very nuanced challenges, very unique challenges. I mean, one of the things I was raising in the discussion today was just around how many of the markets in which these SMEs operate had significant foreign exchange liquidity challenges the last few years, which has proven a very difficult challenge for some of these markets, something that the Western world and many other environments don't even think about as a challenge for SMEs. So the way we solve for these businesses are often not necessarily through the generic products that we think of as trade finance, which has been historically developed for corporate clients, perhaps in the Europes and the North Americas of the world, that's not necessarily applicable for the SME challenges that we face. I was very happy to see, one, that you'll see a lot more discussion around solving for SMEs, which is really encouraging because we come from a world where we've been solving for corporates in this space. But two, and I guess obviously, the continuous increased focus on digital and use of technology. You can't think about solving for this continent, you can't think about solving for SMEs generally without thinking about how you leverage digital and technology to solve for that. And that is about helping solve the product component, evaluating risk, managing the risk, giving clients access to markets, access to suppliers, and then of course access to information and education. Education is such an important part of helping SMEs understand how they could leverage banks and these types of solutions for some of the working capital challenges that they have. The Standard Bank Group, part of its strategy is very much around solving for entire ecosystems that we've identified. We've got this unique opportunity with the footprint that we have and the size that we have and our offering stretching from corporate and investment banking all the way to consumer and high net worth to think about entire value chains, to think about entire ecosystems. So we're in a unique position to leverage all of that, to understand the flow of the money, understand the flow of the goods, and thereby create very, very good data points to start solving for some of these challenges, specifically in the SME space, to think about how we solve for working capital using alternative funding, alternative sources of data.